Hi guys, quick talk through this TPA3116 speaker I built. This is the 2.1 version of the amplifier you can get. It's got two chips in it, and so you get stereo sound and also a subwoofer channel, which is good if you like dance music or anything with bass in it. So as you can see, this has got a large bass port which runs right the way through, made out of a piece of 100mm waste pipe. And that's also good for carrying it around because you've got a hole in each side. So if you start off with some speakers, which I salvaged from a pair of old hi-fi speakers, and you take the driver units out, and these were nice Sony ones, which with paper cones, which is quite old school, but they give quite a good sound. And then you need to cut the holes in some piece of wood, so you can lay your driver unit face down on a piece of plywood or whatever you're using, and you draw a circle around it, and then you have to come back in a few mils so the screws have got something to screw into, and that the speaker fits in the hole. And you might use a bit of trial and error while you're doing this. If there's any little capacitors or anything attached to the speakers, it's best to leave them in place because they probably act as high pass filters or something like that. So once you've got some holes, you might want to just check that your driver unit fits in the hole nicely before you cut the others. And like I say, there's going to be a bit of trial and error, yeah, keep trying them in the holes as you go along. I use a jigsaw to cut the hole. I've seen people use a drill bit and just drill lots of holes around in a circle, which is quite time consuming, but if you don't want to buy a jigsaw, it's quite good. Watch out for splinters and sharp edges on the wood. Probably best to wear gloves, or you can just be a macho idiot like me and get blood everywhere. So there you go, we've got the first three speakers in there. You can see the little tweeter at the top, and the woofer one at the bottom. There'll be two of those. The wiring inside is a bit messy. We'll have a longer look at that in a minute. And on the outside of the box, I had a couple of bolts poking through for charging the battery, and you can see the various connectors there, which are on the amplifier board poking through on a thin piece of plastic. Got some spongy feet on the bottom, and to stop it scratching the floor. And there's that side view again, where you can see the plastic waste pipe used for the base port. So I'll have a look at the insides now. You can see the battery there, 12 volt battery going to a step-up transformer, which boosts it to 24 volts, which is the optimum voltage for the TPA3116 board. And I've also got a power adapter in there, which is redundant in that shot. You can also see how I've boxed off the mid-range speakers to prevent them being distorted by the pressure from the subwoofers inside the cabinet. So now I'll have a look around again in this video. I've overdubbed this because the original sound was quite poor quality. On the front of the speaker I've used some fabric, which is stretched over a thin board, stapled at the back with a staple gun, and then screwed into position with these wood screws here. You can use washers, which are quite good because they hide any frayed fabric around where you put the screws, and you can have fun with the fabric you choose. I used some fabric we had left over from chair coverings, which my wife chose, so it also matches with the furniture in the house, although that's pretty scant justification for having a huge wooden box in your living room, which my wife's not too keen on. You find after a while that you might have to retension the fabric on the front, as it can stretch if you use a natural wool fabric as I have here, but you can use anything you want really. I expect even an old t-shirt would do the job if that's all you've got. Make sure that if you put some feet on it that the screws are well screwed in, because otherwise they could poke out the bottom and scratch the floor. You can see there how I've drilled lots of holes to allow the cabinet to vent into the port. It's reasonably successful. I wonder whether one big hole will be better, but I did that in another speaker I built, and my son likes to put his toys through the hole, which is a bit annoying, and so I have to regularly take the speaker apart to take out all the bits and pieces. So there's the insides again. You can see the step-up transformer there. I think that's a full rebranded one, which I got off eBay. There's the little holes drilled in the baseboard tube, and very basic wiring. When you're putting a power switch on the outside, it's best to make sure that you put the switch between the positive terminal of the battery and the positive input for the step-up transformer, because that way you isolate the power supply fully. Otherwise your battery, for example, if you put it between the step-up transformer and the board, then your battery will be constantly powering the transformer and it will run itself down. You can see I've strapped the battery in place there with a piece of webbing I had lying around off an old rucksack or something like that, and screwed it into position, and it's surprising you can get the battery very firmly attached like that. I didn't have any problems with overheating or anything. I did have a problem with the inductor coils heating over on this, overheating. When I left it playing for a long period, very bass heavy music with distorted sound. I was out in the garden, not paying attention, already listening to it, and the induction coils overheated, and I think the enamel wires got so hot the enamel came off, and probably shorted stuff out, and that was the end of that board. But they're only about £7 each and quite easy to replace. So hopefully we'll finish up looking inside here. You can see I've used a thin piece of plastic on the side there, drilled some holes through it for the various volume knobs and whatnot to fit through, and that's how I've mounted the board. There's nothing else holding that in place other than the bolts which fit over the volume knobs. Now you can see this has got RCA inputs, and I've got a 3.5 jack lead to RCA connector there. Obviously Bluetooth is a nice touch, but recently I've started using a device called a StreamBot, which is like a little kind of Bluetooth receiver, and you connect to your phone as you would a Bluetooth speaker, and it spits out some audio into a female 3.5 jack, so you can plug anything you want into it, and any old speaker, and it will play nicely, which is a real bonus, to be honest, and it works well. I find the input has improved by using one of those Bluetooth widgets. You can get lots. They're powered by USB sockets and all sorts of things. I did try building one in, but it didn't work too well. Very noisy, crackly sort of interface. You can see the bolt sticking out on the side there for charging. Disused power supply. And I think you've probably heard enough. Okay, thanks very much. We'll just finish up with some music.